All right, here we go. So, hello. Let's get these wrist straps on so we're being very careful. Turn down the volume on my headset. Gonna wait a moment here. Make sure this gets connected on the live stream. Looks like, hey, we're connected. All right, hello. Very cool, very cool. And so the first thing I wanted to do to start us off today was give a shout out to our friend over here. Tanya has requested, oh, wrong screen. Let's see if I can find my mouse. It's really hard to do with a headset on. There we are. So here you can see Tanya has requested the toasted mallows be added to the essentials bundle. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. This original video, I think I spent 2 hours recording the original, but I'm pretty confident we can do it a lot quicker this time. So here we go with that in mind. And yeah, maybe I'll bring this over here and slide that up. It's dangerous making these changes last minute, but yeah, that looks a little better. Yeah, that's just a little better. Cool. All right, so feel free to leave your comments if you have any questions, suggestions. I'm going to try and keep this relatively easy to follow. Oh, and welcome back, Vova. And so yeah, let's go ahead and start by heading into our Create tab. We're going to then go to the master bundle of the Essentials bundle. So go ahead and search for MASTER. There we go, info and edit world. Since I know that this one is going to work unlike yesterday's live stream, I'm not worried. Excuse me, I brought this large water yesterday. I had a different drink, also no sponsors here, but check this water glass out. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but it's pretty neat. Delicious water. Drink water. It's great. Okay. And now we're going to head into build mode. And so the first thing that we need to think about is, what does this look like? So if you've seen the previous marshmallow video, we had a bowl of marshmallows, we had a stick, the stick went into the bowl of marshmallows, it then got a mallow, and then when it was near the fire, the mallow would expand, and then we put it next to your mouth, you would eat it. So there's a few different things there. I am thinking that the eat edibles script might be a good starting point. So we'll go over that and kind of how that works. Excuse me, just a little something in my throat. Preparing for visitors. We're preparing for visitors. You guys are the visitors, so thank you for joining. Let's see. Here we are. So we're back in the Essentials bundle, and we're going to, over here in Good Homes, there's a little fire pit. And so this fire pit, we're going to add a bowl of mushrooms, no, a bowl of marshmallows, and we'll create like a little stick that you can put into the marshmallows. And so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to need is kind of a log. I like the idea that it's, you know, outdoorsy log style. There we go. Grab that log there and stretch. I think I want a different color for this. And so let's go to our style tab and grab manual color slider, where we can just change that. Nice. That is very nice, actually. Now, we did have some other bowls out here, but I'd like to keep this low cap. If you've been to the world recently, we're getting very close on that object capacity meter, so definitely want to be a little cognizant of that. So we'll keep it simple with a simple half sphere for our bowl. I'm going to snap that down here, flatten it out a little bit, smush it into the ground so it looks like it's actually sitting. Nice. And then as far as bowls go, we'll go with a slightly plastic bowl. And any color suggestions? First color I see in the comments, we're going to go with that as the color. So feel free to drop your color. And in the meantime, while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to pull out a couple of these little marshmallows. These are what we're going to be using for the marshmallow. Yep. So first color. What you gonna be? And then for our marshmallow, we're going to give this kind of a toasty, warm off-white tone. It's not bad. A little bit more into the white section. There we go. And There we go. That's what I was looking for. So that's our marshmallow. You can see it's got some wood grain on there, which is looking quite interesting actually, but let's switch it up with more of this texture. We'll go large, and we're not going to align it to the object, so that way every marshmallow looks a little different. Nice. And let's try using the small texture skies. Boom. Okay. It's still pretty hard to tell. We should definitely go see what is the scale of this. So needs to go higher, and the marshmallow size is about the same. So marshmallow size is about right. So that's good. There we go. Boom. Very nice. Okay, so that's a pretty big marshmallow. Like that's the size they should be growing to. So let's shrink it down just a little bit. But because I really like this size, I'm gonna kind of maybe think about how we can have several marshmallows representing the different stages of marshmallow. So if we're looking at kind of the color, I really like this kind of toasty brown. And then we kind of go into maybe even a more perfect golden brown. And then we're thinking something like that. And then your last stage is where it's now burnt. So we come back here and grab this. Oh, I guess we can go one more stage. And yeah, that looks pretty good. And then I'm thinking it shouldn't be as glossy when it gets to this stage here, but we can't really change that. So I guess we should just make them all less glossy. Okay, so then back here on our main marshmallow, we wanted to take this and shrink it down just a little bit. Perfect. Okay, now what color did you guys choose? Oh, green. Or wait, red was the first one. Yep, we're going red. So we're going to go ahead and select this bowl here and go to the red tones. And we said we're going to do this as a plastic bowl. And then we're going to go with this texture. Now that's probably a little too red for the bowl. Let's go with that there. Increase the plastic tone and take the red down into kind of maybe a more campfire-y red. There we go. Nice. Okay, now I do have this heads-up display here, so I should probably stop the world for just a second. Stop. And play. There we go. Now I don't have to worry about that being in my way. And then we're going to go ahead and duplicate this marshmallow and create just a variety. Oh wait, we didn't shrink it down yet. So let's shrink that just a little bit and see how that compares up here with our other marshmallows. And it's maybe a little too small. We'll come back. I think I actually messed up because I'd already shrunk it and I just forgot. Let's try seeing how does that look. Yep, that is the right size. Perfect. So I'm going to leave that right there so we can kind of see as a reference point where we want to start our size all the way through our color. And we should be able to fade through this pretty easily. So that's going to be nice. Now we're going to go ahead and make these extra marshmallows. So it looks like just a giant bowl of marshmallows. And then since we want to make it look like it's overflowing, we're going to stack these up, put one of these flattened underneath. And then the other thing that we should do is make this all non-collidable. So actually the easiest way to do this would be to grab a sphere. This is a lower capacity object. And so we'll go ahead and grab that, flatten it, and then we're going to make these all non-collidable. Nice. Make sure to grab this color tone. Perfect. And then we can dupe this all over here. That is a lot of marshmallows, but you know, perfect for what we're trying to make. Nice. Okay. So we now have our bowl of marshmallows. I can come in here and see what that looks like. I'm a pretty big fan of that. Underneath is not my favorite thing in the world, but it is pretty good. So then the last thing we're going to do is make it non-collidable, starting with the entire bowl. So the entire bowl will be non-collidable. We can then open up the properties panel. And the reason we're doing this is it's going to increase our frame rate. So non-collidable, and this should work pretty well. So we can step up here. Not realistic, right? But it's okay. We don't have legs, right? Okay, so then we've got our marshmallow sizes coming along. We know that when it gets close to the fireplace, we want it to get brown. And then like what I didn't like about the previous version of this is that it didn't burn very fast. Whereas in real life, you can just stick it in the fire and then boof, it's on fire. So I definitely want to think about how we can really make it get burnt faster. And then Thank you for live streaming this. Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Would I be able to go on the session? I'm not going to have any guests for this one because I'm just going to try to keep it relatively easy. But yeah, so hi Ash, hi Ku Blue 20, and you can do it. Welcome. So now we're going to head over to this size and thinking, is there a way to fade from this color to this color? So what I wanted to start by doing was maybe duplicating the edibles. So let's take a look at this script real quick. I'm going to walk you through it, and then should be fairly straightforward if I remember it correctly. Okay, so here we have the return script, which allows the edible to be returned. So we will need that for our stick. And then what we want to do is say when the object is grabbed, we're going to have a loop, just like with our edibles. And the reason we have this loop, so it says when object is grabbed, we set can loop to true, and we send loop to self. And then when object is released, we set can loop to false, and then cancel sending loop. So this is just creating and stopping the loop. And then over here, during the loop, we're checking the distance from the position of the object that's being held to the position of the head. But instead of doing that, we'll actually do that for the marshmallow bowl as well as the fireplace to determine if we can show the marshmallow. So you've put a marshmallow on the stick and show it getting bigger as it gets closer to the fire. So I'm thinking this loop is going to be perfect. And yeah, that should work great. Now let's see. What I wanted to do to get started was to create a loop on this to see, like, I want to see the exact formation from here to there. And I'm thinking, since we're going to use the edible script, we might as well go ahead and start here. I'm going to duplicate this marshmallow, and we're going to kind of rewrite this just for the purpose of seeing this demo. And we're going to call this Mallow Stages. So this is just going to give us Mallow Stages right now. And so when the world is started, we're going to start the loop. So when world is started, an object is grabbed by player. So we're going to set can loop, send loop, and then we don't have a way to stop the loop, but that's fine for now. We can use our creator controls. Now in here, we were doing a distance check, and we were causing sound effects and visual effects to be moved for eating. In fact, eating is definitely something we're going to want to do at some point. So we'll have to come back to this. We're going to comment out this code for later. So what you can do with a comment, right here we had return script below. I'm going to actually comment and say eating script. And then inside of this eating script, well, below this eating script comment, I'm going to drag down this distance check and put that into the eating script. So now I've saved this for later. And now in our loop, we're just only sending loop if can loop is true. We were doing this every half second, which seems to be okay. And let's see, what else are we missing here? So we've got the loop started, and what we want to do is know the original color and the destination color. So let's create a new color variable. This is going to be called start color. And then we're going to do end color. So this wasn't actually a possibility when we made the original version of the marshmallow. So this is actually really nice to be able to do this because we can just lerp between these. And if you don't know what lerp is, don't worry, I'll show you. It's really easy to use. And then we throw an end color. And so the step here that we want to show during this loop is this growing motion. And so we want to scale the marshmallow. We also want to, so we want to scale the marshmallow and we want to color the marshmallow. So we're going to go grab set object color. And the easiest thing for us to do first is to set color. And so to do this, we need to first you have to think of this in reverse order, which is quite difficult, but since I know what I'm doing, I can explain it. So I'll try to explain it forward direction afterwards. So we're going to take variable as color and throw that into here. And then we're going to go into our operators and grab lerp and throw that into here. And then we're going to go to our values tab again, grab variable as vector and put that in the from and to slots. And then our alpha we'll define in a second. But for now, we want to grab our start color, put that into the from, and then our to is where we're going, which is the end color. And now we need to determine how many iterations there are. So we're going to create a new number variable called iterations. And then we'll say this takes 100 iterations. So you could define this as anything, and then we're going to grab the divide symbol, and put that into the alpha slot, put the number of iterations, and then we need an iterator. So we'll create underscore I, which is an iterator, and we'll put that into the A slot. And then we need to update our iterator. So up here, and this doesn't actually have to go into the can loop now that I'm looking at it, so we can slide this up. So we want to set the iterator to +1. So we grab a plus symbol and then set I to I plus 1. I'll grab this number and put thumb sticking to the right to duplicate. Okay, so here we have our, oh, and hi everybody. Nice to see 6 of you guys hanging out. Appreciate you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment them below. Okay, so I said I'd explain this from the top. And so the first thing that we need to note is we are iterating through up to 100 iterations, right? So we need to count upwards to the 100. And during that time, we want to change the color from a start color to an end color. So what lerp does is linear interpolation, which means it's a linear value change from one point to another, and it works on vectors. So we're converting the color into a vector, and we're converting the end color into a vector, and then we're for each value R, G, and B slowly fading between the start and the end value. And because we're doing that, we can then need to convert it back to a color. And so taking I, dividing it by iterations, defines exactly where we are between 0 and 1, being the lerp. So lerp takes a value between 0 and 1, where 0 is start color and 1 is end color, and then it returns the value between. So hopefully that helps explain that. And since we're going to run this on the Marshmallow just for testing, this is okay to put on self. We did want to scale self, so we're going to do actually basically the same thing, although we're going to do it with number, we're going to do it with a number rather than a vector. So I'm going to create a new number variable called start scale and one called end scale. And so you could change the value of your marshmallow. And so we'll say, if we look at this marshmallow and go to the attributes tab, this is our origin one, we can see that the original scale is 0.06, 0.06, 0.06. And so we can type that in, and our end scale here under attributes, we can see is 0.07, 0.07. So a very, very small change. We might need to come up with a better way. This might be too small to see. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Okay, so we got our start scale and our end scale. And then what we want to do is scale that marshmallow to that value. And so what we do is take a multiplication symbol, and we need to multiply by a vector, because a number, we want all 3 vector values to be the same. And so we put this vector input of 1, 1, 1 here. And that means whatever we have will be multiplied by that to get either 0.06 to 0.07. And then we're also going to use lerp. I'm going to grab a brand new one because that one's kind of messy. And our lerp will be right here. And so lerp doesn't just do vectors. You can actually use numbers as well. And so if we grab the start scale and the end scale, and then we just throw another divide symbol, I think we can actually just duplicate that in there. Now it's going to scale from the start scale to the end scale. And I believe we've got this all done. The only thing I'd like to do is adjust this if statement so it's not just can loop. It's going to be if can loop and. So under our logic, we have and. We'll put this in here, grab can loop down. So we have to make sure that you can loop, and we also want to make sure that the iterations is, or the iterator is less than the iterations. So we don't want to continue looping if the iterator gets to the 100% value. So that's when we're going to stop running this loop. Now with that set up, we just need to connect that here, and we should be able to see what the animation will look. Oh, I forgot to type in the color. Okay, we'll do that in a second. So it's at the bottom, yeah? Mallow stages. And so we need to set the color, otherwise it's just going to stay black. But we should be seeing it slowly growing right now. Oh, it's really slow because it's at 0.5 seconds. So we'll come back to seeing that. We'll want to speed that up in a second. Okay, so our end color, let's see, start colors should be on the attributes tab. And it says it starts at 0, 0, 0. Oh, because this is what it's currently at. We're going to need to look at this one. Okay, attributes tab. The color is 0.96, 0.91, 0.84. So we just type that in, start color 0.96, 0.91, and 0.84, if memory serves me right. There we go. Now we've got this white, and now we should actually be seeing it fade to black because 0, 0, 0 is pretty close to where we're going, actually. So here we can see it's 0.16, 0.1, 0.01. So 0.16, 0.1, I believe is, we'll come back and check, and 0.01. Okay, so double checking that. Perfect. Okay. So with that, we now get this kind of toasty color that we should be seeing, but we want to speed this up so we can see it much faster. And so right now the loop is running at 0.5 seconds. We're just going to adjust that down to 0.1 seconds. So we should see this in 10 seconds. So you can see it's slowly growing. I'm not sure how easy that is to see on the stream. Oh, but the color is definitely changing. Wow, look at that. And that's definitely burnt now. Nice. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so script, stop the world. And we'll watch that one more time. I just want to say hi to the stream, see what you guys are saying in the comments. Hey, Jojo, thanks so much for, hi in the real world. Welcome back, Bovo. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch that marshmallow one more time. Hit and play, and in 10 seconds, it's all it should take. Here we go. Yeah, that color change is nice. But there's like a sweet spot there, right? So with 100 iterations, it's only maybe, a couple seconds in there out of the 10 seconds that are actually really good, and then it gets here pretty fast. Okay, so that's good. And we want to think about this as like a real marshmallow. So we're going to change this speed based on the closeness to the fire, right? So if you put it in the fire, we actually want it to run maybe even faster than this. So that's kind of interesting. So do we send the loop speed differently, or do we send, I don't think we want to adjust the loop speed. So loop speed needs to be like 0.2, maybe even 0.3. So what you're thinking about here is whatever you set your loop speed is, and how many of these do you have, right? So if you have 10 sticks and you're running these at 0.3, that's 3 per second per stick, which would be 30 of these per second. So you got to think about how many events are you running on the server simultaneously. And so at 0.1 seconds, those 10 sticks would be like 300? No, 10 per stick. 10 sticks would be 100. Anyway, it becomes quite expensive. So we want to like make this as long as possible without affecting it. And so instead of what we're going to do here is actually set the I value to be higher. And so we can see this demonstrated by setting I to 10. And what we should see happen is this should start and grow really quite fast. So if you threw this into the fire, it would turn black very quickly, versus what we'll probably see for most of them is setting it to 1. And now you should see this take roughly 30 seconds. We're not going to wait the whole 30 seconds, but it is slowly shifting. And yeah, it's pretty nice. Cool. Okay, so setting iterator to iterator +1, setting the color. We've got this all working. What we need to do is define the iterator, and we also need to only run this when it's close enough to the fire. And so if you remember, we were using the eating script before to do a distance check. But let's maybe start from the most basic level, which is having a stick that we can put this on. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to close the script for a second, and we're going to start thinking about and we never saw this color of orange actually. I'm thinking maybe there's a midpoint, and then the browning is a second lerp. Come back to it. I'm okay with this color's in there. This color's in there. This is our start. This is our start. This is our end. But I kind of think maybe we need a lerp to here, and then from here to there. Oh, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, we'll come back to it because this is definitely what you want it to look like. But you don't want it to look like that. Okay, so now what I want to think about is creating some sticks for this to be used. And so we have this log here. So we'll shrink that down, turn it into a stick. And we kind of want to lighten this stick up. Maybe feel like it's been stripped. So a little bit of like stripped wood. Not bad, maybe darker. No, that's not the right way to go. Let's see. It's like this way, I think is where I wanted. That's closer. There we go. Okay. So now what we want to do is make this look like a stick you would have found perhaps at a beach. So we'll duplicate that, shrink this down a little bit, and just kind of combine this together. Okay. And definitely to make it look a little more natural, probably using a wood tone. It looks like we're using a waves tone, so style going down here to the wood texture. Perfect. And make it less plastic. Okay, that's better. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now to make it feel a little more real, we're going to kind of adjust this stick. And then I think what I'm going to do is use this piece as the part that I group it by. And then this should kind of feel like maybe a handle, almost like a wand, right? And so if you were to find a perfect stick, it might look like that. And then what I'd encourage you to do is taking this one stick that we design, come up with like a secondary stick design. So you have one here, and I'd like to see this maybe get a little bit smaller before we put the marshmallow on right there. Okay, so you'd start with a stick like this, and you could go make a bunch of different sticks. You just zoom into the grouping. So if you've never zoomed into a group, you open up the properties panel, and there's this zoom button, which allows you to edit inside of the group. Okay, and speaking of that, I'll show you how we use that in just a moment. So let's go make this grabbable. It seems like it might be a little too big. So we're gonna go interactive, grabbable, and that's good. Make sure two-handed grab is enabled. Yes, that's good. I don't want to use grab lock. Sure, we can use grab lock. Okay, who can take from holder? Only the person holding it. Who can grab is anyone. Avatar attachable might be funny, but we're going to leave it off. But what I really want to see is how does this feel in terms of size? This is just enormous. Yeah, this is definitely too big. But if we shrink this down, that could be perfect. So let's go grab that, shrink it down. Nice. Okay. There is our mallow stick. And now what we want to do is get a mallow and bring it in. So I'm going to go duplicate this starting mallow, select it, so switch to my hand tool, select the marshmallow, zoom into the grouping, and then we're going to snap that to the top, maybe even right there, and slide that up like that. Looks pretty good. I don't know about you, but I try to get a little bit of distance so it doesn't fall off on the end when I'm making my real life marshmallows. Very nice. Okay, so we've got that, and this is a very good start. And so the next thing we need to think about is how do we make the mallow grow, and when do we want it to show? So there's a lot of ways that we could do this, and I think the easiest way is to reference this bowl object. So let's group the marshmallow bowl, reference it as an object, and we'll just check to see when it's within like eating distance, right? And when it gets too close to this bowl, that's when the marshmallow becomes visible. And then similarly, we'll do, the fire is already grouped, it looks like, so we can just use that grouping and say the same thing about that fire. Okay, so when you're holding it, this thing's going to be running this loop. Is there an option to say when the stick is grabbed that it's just for that player who's grabbed it? So I'm thinking if we use a local script, we'd be able to, oh, hi. I wanted to try this, so bear with me. I created this to say, hello! So I was thinking if we made it locally scripted, we could create the, it's weird seeing my lips move slightly delayed, sorry. We could make the marshmallow would reset. That's the problem, is it wouldn't have its own setting. So that's an interesting thought. Like you wouldn't be able to hand it off, but it would prevent us from having to reset the stick. So that's kind of almost an upside, is you just hand it off to somebody and then it would reset. But it is pretty easy for us to reset it, so that shouldn't be an issue. So what was the main reason I was thinking of that? Oh, because if we could run this event on the server, we wouldn't have to worry about these things running too many loops. But on the other hand, we're only running the loop when it's grabbed, so that's kind of a benefit too. So I think we're going to go ahead and just keep it running on the server. So here, let's head back in. Oh, and feel free to comment. So, oh, bye, you can do it. Thank you for joining us. And so let's continue on. And the next thing that we want to do is do all these distance checks. So the first one we're going to do is for the marshmallow. And what I want to do is say when world is started, let's send an initializing code. So when event initialize is received. So I think I've got one in here already created, an event name. There we go, initialize. And then when world is started, we sent loop here, but we actually want to do this when object is grabbed. So let's go bring when object is grabbed back in. So when object is grabbed by player, put that here, move this down into here, move this down into here, and then duplicate this into when world is started, and then we'll send it with a 0-second delay. And so we're sending this initialize to self at world start. And what initialize is going to do is give us a quick way to reset everything. And so we're going to set all of our variables that we want at the very beginning of the world. So for instance, the iterator, we need to make sure this is set to 0. We also need to make sure that the scale of the marshmallow is set to its origin scale. So if we come down here to where we're setting scale, I could duplicate them up, but I think the easiest way is just to grab a fresh one. So we go to motion tab, grab scale 2. And so when initialize is received, we scale to scale 2, which we used a multiplier. So we'll go ahead and grab that same. I should have duplicated this one. This one could have been duplicated. So I'm grabbing the multiplication symbol from below, replacing this, deleting the lerp, and then grabbing the start scale and putting that in here. Perfect. So we scale self to start scale, and then we want to paint self. And so we just go set object color. Oh, and it's not self anymore. We need to reference the right object. So let's go do that as well while we're thinking about it. Okay, so set object color to the start color. And then the last thing we need to do is create a new, not last thing, there's like a million things left. So mallow, and now we can reference our mallow in the script. So now we are painting the mallow, and we also want to set the visibility of the object. So we're going to set visibility of mallow to be false. So when initializing, we are resetting back to the beginning stage. And so when we do this initialize, we can actually use this as part of our return script, right? So we had an eat effect. Remember, we had this down here. We had taken the eating script and moved it down into a comment. And down here, you'll see when it's eaten, when it's been eaten, I don't know. We were force releasing it. And then we were doing the return script when we force released, but we don't need to force release. What we need to do is reinitialize. So when you eat it, we reinitialize. We don't force release the marshmallow. We send initialize to self. And once it's been initialized, that should allow us to keep running this loop from the beginning. So that's good. And we do need to set up the eating script. So if distance from position 2 is less than 0.3, what we also need to find out is the marshmallow visible. So that's important. So here we were setting visibility of self and we were moving self. So I kind of want to set up this eating script while I'm thinking about it. We don't need to move. Oh, we do want to use a sound effect for the eating. We want to play the sound, but we don't want to change the visibility. We're just going to do this all via the initialize script. So initialize is going to cause the eating mechanic to happen. And then head position of 0.3 might be too much. Might want to do 0.2. And what we're calculating is not the position of self, but the position of the mallow. So distance from position of mallow to the position of the owner's head. So this is almost unfortunate, but this will only work for the person who's holding the stick. We could set it up so that there's a trigger on the end, which is how we did it in the original Marshmallow script. So if you saw that Marshmallow video, you'll remember that you were able to use a trigger to detect head input. And when it was triggered by a head, we then set to invisible. So you could do that. We're not going to do that here. We're going to use the distance from the eating script. So only the person holding it can eat it, which might be better because we maybe don't want to have people shoving sticks into other people's heads. So that seems okay. And we want this to be edible all the time. So we definitely want to make sure the mallow is always edible when it's visible. So that's the thing. We want to have a visible, we want to know when the mallow is visible. Create a new variable, and this Boolean is going to be called mallow visible. Okay. And so we'll confirm, and mallow visible does start as false, and we need to set it in a few different places. So when initialize is received, we're going to set the mallow visible to false, because this is when we initially set it to be false. And then when we make it true, we will be able to do this. So this event for eating, we want to also say an additional if, and you can nest ifs. I like using and, which is what we did earlier, but you can also nest them. So we're just going to say, so remember here we used and, but in this case, I'm just going to nest it inside of another if for mallow visible and say if the mallow is visible and if the distance from the head, the position of the mallow to the head is less than 0.2, then move the sound effect to position place down on sound effect and send initialize, which causes the mallow to be eaten. And then that sets it back to false. So we can delete the eaten script. Or actually, we'll put this maybe inside of here so we know what it is. So we'll say this is the eating script. And maybe put that right here, actually. So then what we need to do is also, we'll move this if can loop to the bottom. Okay. I like having my sending loop at the very end, just kind of like logically is how my brain follows. And then set iterator to I+1. We don't want to do this coloring in the loop anymore because that would cause it to start coloring from the moment you grab it. We want to only do that when it's near a fire. So we're just going to go and create a new if. And I guess we can use the same distance check actually, but we'll do it to a different object. So we're going to go ahead and grab this less than symbol, duplicate it into here, which keeps everything in here. And so we want to check the position of the mallow, not to the position of the player, but to the position of a new object we're going to reference, which is going to be the fire. So we're going to create a new object called fire. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this into here. And now it says if distance from position of mallow to position of fire is less than 0.2. That is too close. That's burning distance. We want to set this to be maybe like if it's within, I don't know, 1 meter. We'll affect it as long as it's within 1 meter. Is that, I kind of want to do less than that. I was thinking like maybe 0.6. So like 1.5 feet. It's got to be pretty close to the fire. So if we're looking at this, you're thinking maybe right here you might get a little bit, but otherwise it's got to be kind of in this area. And then if you get down into here, that's when we burn. It is using the center of the fire. So kind of thinking about if I turn my snapping on, you see this center dot right here. This is the point that it's going to use. I could shift this by adjusting the logs, but I'm okay with that position being the center of the fire. Okay. So now we're saying if the distance is less than 0.6 from the fire, we want to set the iterator to be +1. But we only want to do this if the mallow is visible as well, right? We don't want to change the color if the mallow is not there. So let's put the eating script here, and then we'll create another comment. I really enjoy these comments, and we'll call this the burn, the cooking, the cooking, yes, cooking script. Okay, so if mallow is visible, then we do the cooking script. And now what we need to do is one more distance check. And this one is very similar to this. I'm going to duplicate this up here, delete this, delete this, delete this, and then say if the distance from the mallow to the position of the bowls is less than 0.2, so we'll copy the edibles scale or distance, and then we'll create a new object variable for the bowl, BOWL, okay, and drag that over here to replace fire. And what do we do when that is the case? Well, we're going to set the mallow visible to true. So we set mallow visible to Boolean true. And we also want to make the mallow visible. So we'll go ahead and set mallow visible to true. So I'm duplicating this down. Oh, wrong one. We'll just go to actions. So under actions, we have set object visibility, which we can now drag into here and set the mallow visibility to true. And that allows everything down here to run. So that shouldn't cause any issues. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so during the loop, we're checking to see if the mallow is visible. We're going to continue looping no matter what, as long as you're holding on to it and the iterations are less than 100. I think this works. The only thing we're missing is a way to, excuse me, a way to amplify the fire. So right here we have this fire distance. What we want to use is say, as this gets closer to zero point 0.1, this gets higher. And so if you think about this kind of, we want to reverse what this value is, right? So we're checking the distance. And so this distance from to 2, position to 2, is going to return a distance. And as that distance gets lower, we want this value to get higher, and we want to multiply that value. So if you consider at 0.6, let's call it 0.5. At 0.5, we want it to do one iteration. So by multiplying it by 2, we get to 1. But that doesn't actually work, because if we go down to 0.1 and multiply by 2, now we're only getting 0.2. So what we can do then is say 0.5 divided by 0.25 is also 2, and 0.1 divided by 0.25 is 2.5. So that's kind of getting us closer. I'm thinking there's probably a better way to do that, because we want to amplify this value so it's more dramatic as you get closer in. So let's go and grab the divide symbol. And then inside, we know that we want to take the distance 2. That's the value we're going to be working with. And what we want to do is make this distance more intense. And so if we take the distance to, we know it's less than half a meter, multiply it by, say, 10, we'll then have values ranging from 0 to about 5. Yeah, multiply by 10, we get values from 0 to 5. And then taking that 5, dividing it by, we want it to be 1, so you divide by 5, would get us, what is the way that we make this more intense as it gets smaller? It's like on the tip of my brain. Is it like adding a value or subtracting a value? It might be subtracting like initial value. Trying to think what I've missed here. So the 5 divided by, say, 1 is going to be 5. And then if we divide by, oh, I did something wrong, didn't I? I did. What did I do wrong? Dividing by 0.1 would give us 50. And then it's really hard to do math in your head. Wish I had paper. So 5 divided by 0.1 gives us 50. And then if we did something smaller like 1 divided by 0.1 is not, that's not higher, that's lower. Or am I doing it the opposite way? So you take 100, ooh, yes. Take 100 divided by 50, you get 2. Take 100 divided by 10, you get 10. So we need to start with some value at the top divided by this distance 2. Got it. Okay, I think I'm following now. So let's also only calculate this one time to decrease server intensity. And so we're going to create a new number variable called current distance. And then we can set this value and then use it in multiple places. Okay, so set current distance to be this distance 2, then duplicate it into here. And then we're going to take a number. So say we know that 0.5 is the value we're getting. We want it to be 1. So if you take 0.5 divided by 1, then as it gets closer to 0, it becomes 5. And then if we multiply that by 2, so if we duplicate this line and then add a multiplication symbol, and then, oops, undo. Okay, multiply this value. Since we know that'll reach 1, we can then multiply it by kind of any number that we want to increase the amplitude of this. So we'll start with 10. 10? No. We won't start with 10. We'll start with something more reasonable like 4. Okay. And then what we said I was dividing was 0.5 divided by 0.5 equals 1, and 0.5 divided by 0.1 would be 5. 5 times 4 is 20. That would be burnt really, really quickly. So that's good. Okay. So sorry, thanks for bearing with me through the math there. Let's see what y'all saying. Boba says, Lakes, I gotta go again. Bye again. Hi again when you get back. And then now that we've done this, I think we're done. It's just a matter of combining. Oh, and then we need to change this to be mallow, right? Whoops, forgot to swap that out. Let's read this one time from the top so we know what's going on in this script, because I think we're really close. Really, really close. But I might have missed one or two small things. Okay, so when the world has started, we're sending initialize to self after 0 seconds, and then in the initialize command, we set the iterator back to 0. Anytime we use the initialize command, then we run scale the mallow back to start scale, set the mallow back to start color, set mallow visible to false, set mallow visibility to false, and then when object is grabbed by player, we set can loop to true. So we start this loop running, and when it's released, we stop the loop from running. And then when the loop is running, if the distance from the mallow to the bowl becomes less than 0.2, we set mallow visible to true and set mallow visibility to true. So then the marshmallow becomes visible. And then if the mallow is visible, we have our first is our cooking script. So we set the current distance to be the distance from the mallow to the fire. And if that current distance is less than 0.6, we set iterator to be iterator plus this distance that we calculated just a second ago. And then we set mallow color to be the lerped color like we did earlier using I divided by the number of iterations we're going to allow. And the same with our scale to go between the start and end scale. And then we have our eating script, which says if the distance from the mallow to the head player of the player is 0.2, move sound effect to position, play sound effect, send initialize to self, which resets it back to its initial state so you can recook it. And then if can loop is at iterations, we stop sending the loop. So that's interesting. We stop sending the loop when it gets to this point. Now this makes sense, but because the can loop is really just if held loop, you'd have to re-grab the object, which is less than ideal. So let's actually fix this. Yay, we found a bug before. I'm happy. Okay, so let's grab our if, and this is just a filler while we figure this out. We want to say don't cook if we get higher than iterations. Oh, well, I guess it wouldn't cook, right? Because we set it up so that the mallow visible prevents it from cooking, which means it would only run this distance. So the good news is we can actually just delete this and replace it with the can loop, and we're good. Sweet. Okay, that was easy. Yay. Lots of good stuff here. Now the return script is just a classic return. It says when world is started, we save the origin, position, and rotation, and this is of the stick. So because we're running a stick, that references the mallow, and I think we're good. Oh man. So pretty cool stuff here. We did want to think about this color. I really wanted to get to this color, but let's first start by getting this working, and then we can think about more advanced techniques. So I'm zooming in here, and I want to start by making this non-collidable, and I'm going to turn visibility off. We are going to need to reference it, so we'll leave this over here for now. And then over here, we can shrink this down. And we're going to attach, we called this mallow stages before, but we're going to call this mallow stick now that it's a stick. I-C-K. Okay, so there's our mallow stick. And now we're going to go down here to the attach script, scroll to the bottom, grab mallow stick. Now we just need to reference all of these objects. So reference the marshmallow. Ta-da, that one's good. Now the next thing we need to reference is the bowl. Now, when we reference an object, it becomes animated, but we're not actually animating the bowl. So once we reference the bowl, we're going to switch animated back to false. And just in case, I'm going to turn collidable off, even though it's already non-collidable on the inside. And then our fire over here, we also need to reference. Now, this is also a non-animated group. It's just grouped together to make it easier to move around. But we want to make sure to turn none off because that's going to save us some capacity on our animation. Cool. Now the last thing we need to reference is our sound effect. We do currently have a stick set to instant return. I'm okay with that. So we need that sound effect. Here's our edibles. But the edibles sound isn't really designed for the marshmallow. So let's create more of a sticky. That should be an interesting sound. Okay, so we're going to reference this here. Go ahead and hit record. Okay, so that's our first recording of that sound. We'll go ahead and hit play. Can't actually hear it. Oh, you know when you're streaming, they have that new bug where you can't hear audio? Yeah, that's probably making it so you can't use sound recorder. So I'm casting to my computer right now, which means I can't actually get audio. That stinks. I wonder if there's an eat sound in here. E-A-T. That's a crunch. Yeah, we might just use the crunch. It's weird, but if we decrease the pitch, maybe it'll sound more chompy. Yeah, it's not bad. Okay. Change the distance to be relatively close to the person eating. Turn down the volume. Turn it down a little more. I don't know. It's just so crunchy. I was trying to make it. Yeah. There we go. Okay, I like that. So we're going to drag creature bite down here to the sound effect. Nice. I'm going to leave this again as instant return. You guys can always adjust that if you want. We're going to leave the sound effect right here. And I believe we've done it. I'm quite nervous, to be honest. Script, stop, and play. So I should mention that if you're writing scripts, it is less than ideal to only test them at the end. So doing this, not recommended. Okay, so now if I grab this stick and I put it in here, oh, look at that. I have a marshmallow. It is burnt though, so I'm gonna need to figure that out. Now if I put it in the fire, should see it growing. If I get it closer, it should go really fast. Can't really tell, to be honest. And the burnt nature doesn't make it easy. Oh, it's really small, actually. It is small and burnt. Huh. That seems to be a bug. I had this experience when I made the first marshmallow on a stick, so perhaps I did something wrong. Let's go ahead and... Oh, and when we let go of it, we want to also run that initializer. So let's go do that. So under the return script, we want to also send initialize to self. So I'm going down here, and then whenever the object is released, or the return here, so when return is received, we're also going to reinitialize the marshmallow. Cool. So the question is, why does the marshmallow look black? And yeah, so mallow start scale times 1, set mallow color to start color. Wait a second. Oh my gosh, I know why. Remember earlier when I was working with it, we set the color on the properties panel, not inside the script panel. And so it didn't save to the script, which really stinks. Okay, so what we need to do then is set up the colors in here. So let's go grab these property panels again. Let's go scale this up. Attributes. And here's our color, 0.16.11. So this is our end color. 0.16. But what I'm really curious about is the marshmallow didn't seem to be growing. So what is up with that? 0.16.1, 0.01, so that's our end color. And now we want to go to our start color. And we're going to go to attributes, 0.96, 0.91. So 0.96, 0.91. And last but not least, 0.84. There we go. Almost maybe drop this down just a little bit. So remove a little bit of blue and just completely remove blue from here and maybe add just a hair of red. I'm just really wanting to see a little more orange in this fade. So I'm thinking this might give us a little more orangey fade, and maybe I don't have to calculate that middle color. Okay. So start scale of 0.06, end scale of 0.07. We know that worked earlier. So current distance, iter starts at 0, current distance is 0. Okay. Reset and play world. Grab the stick. I'm kind of almost wondering. Okay, marshmallow got attached really quick. That's good. The scale still feels really off. The color's working. Okay, and it kind of burnt. If I move it back into the center, oh, now it's really burnt. Now if I let go, it should instantly return, and we can try this again, which is nice, how quick that is. Okay, we got our fresh marshmallow, and if I put it over here, it should be relatively slow. So I'm gonna kind of keep moving it in. So, oh, there it goes. Yeah, that's nice. And that color is looking pretty good. Definitely think the marshmallow needs to be bigger. I'm not sure why the scale's off. Oh, maybe because it's grouped in, and when it got grouped in, maybe the scale got adjusted. Huh. We might need to use relative scale rather than, yeah, because that is way smaller. Way, 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 way smaller. Okay. So it is growing, but it's not growing correctly because when we zoomed it in, the scale changed. I don't understand that. Like that's probably a bug, not a feature. So here you can see it says the scale is 0.06, but it's probably not 0.06 because it's inside this group. And so what we're going to do then is stop the world. And what we saw happen when I stopped the world, and I know it's hard to see from here on the screen, but this actually got bigger when I stopped the world, which means when the world is started, we can save a start scale. So we're going to create a new variable, which will be called a vector, and this will be called start scale. Start scale. Do I really want to do the math behind this? I kind of don't want to do the math behind this. This might sound really, really silly to say out loud, but let's just do this the easy way, which is just to simply type in 2, 2, and 2 here, which literally just doubles the size, and then we're done. I just need to put this in 2 places. So right there at the beginning, and then right here during the loop. Um, yeah, I don't know. Take the easy way sometimes, okay? That's all I got to say. So I got the marshmallow. I'm excited to put this. Oh, I haven't tried the eating mechanism. Yeah, we got to do that. Okay. Oh, that's a big mallow. But you know what? I like them big. I like them round. I like them juicy. Okay. What did I just say? Please ignore that. Okay, so it doesn't seem to be scaling. Do you guys see that? It doesn't seem... Is it scaling? Maybe it is. Maybe it's just really hard to tell. Oh, it's because we're multiplying by such a small number, it's not enough for it to be dramatic. So that makes sense. That makes a ton of sense. Okay, so what I did was wrong. Let's go do it the right way. Back to doing it the right way. So what we were originally going to do is, let's just delete this. Let's go back over here, delete start scale, delete end scale, create 2 new vector variables. So create one called origin scale, and then we're going to create another one called end scale. So object end scale. Now that scale of 2, oh, not object, excuse me, sorry, vector of end scale. That scale of 2 was actually pretty decent because it was so big. So I'm kind of liking that idea. So we go with 2 just to see a little bit more dramatic growth on the marshmallow. You know, it is the metaverse, right? So we can do whatever we want here. Now, we originally saw it starting at 0.06, and that was way too small. So we are going to set this value at the world start. We're not going to stop trying to trick it, Lakes. Oh, man. I'm just like, let's take the easy way. Let's get done. I'm like so excited to be done. So here we were doing start scale, end scale iterations, and then we were multiplying it. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to just drag the lerp down here, and that's all we need to do. So we don't need to multiply it by 1, 1, 1 anymore. Okay. And then we just need to put start scale and end scale in. So origin scale, boom, there we go. And that's done. Now down here, when the world was started, we had set all these values. So we're gonna go drag origin scale in and then go grab that from the operators tab. There is scale of object, which we'll throw into here. And this is the scale of the mallow. So let's go grab scale of mallow. Okay. And hopefully that works. Stop and play. Whew. Exciting times, you guys. Marshmallow is pretty much done. So we put it in. That's still tiny. Oh, so it's calculating the 0.06 value, which is what we had typed in, but it doesn't realize that it's wrong. Oh, that's so funny. But it should scale still. Like what we should see happen. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Who said that was okay? Where are you going? Oh gosh. What is happening? That's a big old marshmallow. So can I eat it? I kind of want to. Yeah, you can eat it. Okay. While that is hysterical, that obviously was not the intention. So I think what we're gonna need to do is just manually type these numbers in and not set it on start because it's not working. And I hate to say that, but that's the case. So let's go ahead and set this to be, if we know 0.06 was really small, let's try 0.12. So you go 0.12, 0.12. So that should be double what we saw there. And then this will try point. Oh yeah, because remember we were multiplying by that value. Got it. Okay, that's why those numbers weren't making sense. So what value we had liked earlier was 2 times 0.06 or 0.07. And so that would have come out as 7 times 2 would be 14. So 24 is still too big, actually. So go 0.14, 0.14, 0.14. And is that what we want to do? We went to times 2 and we liked it. So that should work. And then the starting scale of 0.12 is really, I really wanted to make this dramatic though. So let's try 0.9. I don't know. Okay. Don't know if we need to reset this. So I just grabbed it, putting it in here. Really? I think I need to reset the world. Stop. And reset and play. Okay, let's see. Did I mess something up? I'm really thinking I messed something up. That is not right. What is happening here? What is happening? Okay, so mallow on a stick. We're not doing anything here. When world is starting, we're setting it to be the origin scale. Scale mallow to origin scale. Origin scale is set. Did anybody catch that? Please definitely tell me if you caught that. It's 0.09. Also, I'm going to take a chance to look at the comments. Say hi, you guys. Yay, thanks, Cool Blue, for hanging out. Appreciate you. Whew. Well, we did it. This time it only took an hour. Last time I did this, it took 2 hours. So to make the marshmallow, but we cut it down to like a 30-minute video. You guys could check that out. But this one is really nice. I'm very happy with this. The numbers are now in the clear, so this will work. Confident. There it goes. That's a good sized marshmallow. Look at that. That is a good sized marshmallow. We can even compare that against the original, almost perfect. And then let's go ahead and grow that. So stick that in here. And the marshmallow browns pretty quick when you put it in the middle. I think we're colliding with the fire. The fire's got some collidable pieces. That's kind of a almost perfect tone if that's what you're looking for. And then we can go all the way till it turns black. Nice. And we can see it's a lot bigger than our original scale, but it's kind of nice to see it grow to these really ridiculous sizes. Oh, looks like it might have even got darker. Nice. So, okay, what we're experiencing here that is problematic is it's getting a little bit collisioned at the end. So what I'm going to do is zoom into the grouping and make this section of the group non-collidable. Oops. Zoom in. Select this piece here and make these 3 pieces non-collidable. So you won't be able to grab from that part of the stick, but that kind of makes sense. And then that should cause it to be a little bit easier to use. And what's also cool is you can actually eat it just like this. Like, you don't have to wait for it to be cooked. You can just have as many of these as you want. So is there a method? Oh yeah, there's a method. So good. Oh. Delicious. So, never going to get fat off these. Definitely enjoy some marshmallows. And yeah, these are going to be great. So I hope you guys use this script in your worlds. I'll be adding this later this week, so this won't be hitting the bundle for a few days. But yeah, enjoy. It's pretty cool. I'd like it to be maybe a little more orangey on the color tone. I'll come back to thinking about that. I'm still thinking about it. Is there a way to make it more orange rather than this kind of brownish red? I wonder if we made it green. Let me look at the color on this. What is the color on this? Attributes. The color is 0.54, 72.54.28. So if we want to change this to this value, we need to make sure that it changes so that 50% it's hitting that. So under our final color, end color, oh, that is really close. 0.2, 0.1. Let's try 0.3, 0.15. 0.1. And what if we take this to 0.05, take this down to 0.07. You can see the color preview, which is so nice. 0.25. Let's try that out a little bit more. Kind of nice. I don't know. It's not that golden brown color I was really looking for. I have an option. Okay, we're going to take this one step further. So I think what we really want to do, and I'm going to do this again because I really like it. Yo! So what we're going to do is change the color up until a certain iteration value and then let it go to like 10% higher. And that's when it goes to that black color. So I guess we'll create like a middle color and then do some like weird fancy math to cause just some options. So it'll do like if, else, and yeah. So under our mallow on a stick, we were running in our color. Also, I'm getting notifications. I'm curious if those are important. Is anybody saying hello? Janimator invites you as a collaborator. Yeah, that's awesome. That's so I can drop a door in this world, actually. Ooh, guy submitted a post. Nice. Great to have you, dude, if you happen to be watching. I'm going to go quickly accept this invite so I can drop the Creators Academy door before I forget. So our education and resources section, we're trying to build this out with lots of educational materials, and Janimator hosts a class on Thursday evenings that is really cool, and so I wanted to make sure to show some love. So this is kind of where this goes. You can still read technically. I don't want it to feel like I want to kind of create Janimator's own section. We'll do that at some point. For now, just drop on the door. Change destination type world and give it a second to load. What is the name of this place? Creator Hub. Creators Academy. This one, right? 90% sure that's what we're doing. Select. Nice. I should get intro to creation in here from World Tours. In fact, we should have a doorway over here to the World Tours event since we come here during the World Tours event. That seems to make sense too. Drag that over here. Drag that right there. It's hard when you have a lot of worlds because you want to like shout out all these worlds, but there's no search button in here. And so it's like, wait, where was World Tours? And then you're like just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through the most recently edited. Ah, here it is. Select. Ta-da. Fortunately, Oculus is always working on that, adding new doors and so many awesome new worlds. So it didn't really have to take too long. Nice. And there's somebody there. Wow. Cool. All right. So we're coming into here to adjust our color. Now we set color to be the lerp here. But what we want to do is have an if and else statement that says if and then else. And what we're trying to do is determine if the color is between a different value. So right now we were doing iterations to 100, and I really liked this. We're going to duplicate this, and then we're going to create, we're going to make this go back to that burnt color. So this is like the final color. It's just basically burnt, right? So it's 0.15, just a little bit of red in there, no blue, maybe a little bit of green. Nope, not that much green. I said a little bit. There we go. Okay. And so then I want to add one more color, which is going to be perfect. So we're going to call this color perfection. Perfection. And that color we said was 0.75, 0.25, 0.15, I believe. Nope. Nope, not at all. Okay, let's go read this script. What does it say? It says attributes 0.725428, 725428, 725428, 72. Ah, that's what I was off on. 54 and 0.28. Nice. Okay, so that's our perfection color. So this is the color we actually want to lerp between until we get to 100. And then what we want to do is say the last 10 is going to quickly go between the perfection and we're going to lerp to the end color. And so this will be iterations times 0.1. So we're just going to multiply this by 0.1. So take iterations and we're going to go to 1.1. So it's 10% higher, 1.1. And then because we need this to be because we need this to be between just the last 10, we're going to actually take iterations and multiply it by, we do have to do by 0.1 and then subtract. There's a lot of extra math. That's okay, we can do this. So I'm going to duplicate this so I can do all my math in one and then copy from the top. So it still is divide, but what we need to do is subtract the original value. And so maybe we just want to, no, I really want to allow this to scale so you can adjust it yourself a little bit. So times 1.1 minus iterations. So this leaves only the top half, and then iterator is going to be basically the same thing. It's going to be iterator minus iterations. So you're only getting the values above. So basically we want this to divide between 0 and 10, right? So we need values between 0 and 10, so we have to subtract the original value. That's what we're doing. Okay, now that will work. Now the thing is, down here, we were saying we're only going to allow this to happen if the mallow is visible. And so up here, what did we do? We did set current distance less than points, set iterator plus 0.5 divided by current distance times 4. Mallow visible. Oh, interesting, because before we were using a if statement in the can loop. So it's going to continue looping. It is still technically visible, so it's going to go higher. Do we just need to add that back? So we just say if iterator is less than or equal to, oh, no, just less than, because when it comes back through, then it'll have already done it, right? No, I need to do less than or equal to. Whoops. Less than or equal to, throw the I in there, throw iterations in here, set mallow color, and then else. So if it becomes greater than iterations, then we do set mallow color to burn, which should happen pretty quick, like almost instantaneously when you get there. Scale mallow to lerp. And we only want to scale here because, wait, can this just keep growing? There really needs to be a way to stop this. If current distance is less, this just continues. Does this just continue growing? Let's try it. A little bit in disbelief. Okay, so if I grab this and I place it in here and then I place it here, does it keep growing even after it reaches the... No, it doesn't. What's causing it to stop growing? What did I do to make it stop growing? It's not growing, so why did it stop growing? I probably put something in here and I just forgot. If current distance less than 0.6, which it is. If mallow is visible, which it is. Why? I don't get it. I did want to take this scale and throw it into here. It does go to black. Send initialize to self if distance from on ahead. Move self. That's the eating loop. If can loop, send loop to self. Set current distance to distance from mallow to position of fire. If just, oh, no, that's not it. Yep, I don't know. I don't know why. But what I want to do is, because mallow visible isn't actually always just used for mallow visible, we can say, oh no, it is. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. I think there's a bug in here, but it's fine. It seems to work. We'll go ahead and delete these. Make sure we can get to that perfect golden color that we had created. And then I am happy with this, and we're going to call it a day. Okay. So I want to get this real fast. Nice. Oh, that is perfect. That is so much nicer in color. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and it gets brown really fast. If we put this right up here, how slow does it go? You have to kind of like, ooh, yep, burnt it. Yeah, you got to be very careful with those last couple. That is fun. I love that. And if I put it back in there, is anything happening? Doesn't look like it. So I'm going to let go. I'm going to grab it again. Double check. Oh, yeah, I wanted to make sure that this continues to function just continuously. Like there's no long-term bugs. So you get it to the perfect color, you eat it, then you grab another one, put it in here again, go really fast, burn it and eat it. People do eat burnt marshmallows, so you can do that. Put that in there. There we go. Ooh, almost burnt. Nice. That is delicious, and it doesn't seem to stop working. And I can eat these all day. Cool. We're done. We're definitely done now. Any questions, you guys? Let me. Oh, you guys, I'm so sorry. You've been staring at me this whole time. I'm so sorry. Oh man. But any questions? Feel free to ask. Thanks for the tutorial and live stream. You're very welcome, VR stream. Apologies that I forgot for the last 16 minutes to show you. So you've just been seeing me playing around, and that's kind of fun too. But Mallow on a Stick script, I'll give you a quick close-up. The big thing here that we changed was adding this if statement to check iterations, and then do two different variations here. So just kind of giving a quick close-up of that. And I don't think there's really any other major changes, just a couple things moved around a little bit. Cool. Cool. So yeah, super done. Super love. I can't wait to share this with you guys later this week. And I'm going to leave that right there. The sound block can go on top of that. Snap that right there. And let's stop the world. Yes. Man, I'm so happy with that. Thank you to our friend this morning who asked us to do this. So really want to give a huge shout out to, I believe it was Maria. Sorry if I'm saying the wrong name, but thank you so much. And thank you guys all so much for joining me in this live stream. Very, very cool.